It was like 20, 19, 18. You're live. Surprise.
I didn't know what you're talking about at first. I'm like, I don't see a 20.
It shows big numbers on my screen whenever it's counting down for recording.
Oh, gotcha.
Call this faction art. Okay, so the names on these factions are not final. These are just sort of like placeholders for how they're described in a lot of cyberpunk literature and stuff that's already out there. So obviously, first up would be corporate. And in which one of these do you want to describe, David? Because I feel like I'm just going to talk the whole time. Which one are you attached to? You and I have already gone through these.
I think the one that I could best describe would be the corporate, because with the edge runners and the nomad, couple of gray areas that I might get crisscrossed.
Okay, sorry. Which one were you going to do?
Corporate.
Okay, sorry. Somehow I left for like 10 seconds.
I noticed.
I was sitting here going, so I can hear an echo in my headset. Does that mean it's recording an echo?
Oh,
Maybe
my
I
God.
should download the video and make sure there's no echo.
Please put that as an outtake at the end of this thing. Please.
I might just leave it in.
You should just like... Oh, my God.
So anyway...
I thought my ADD was bad.
Hey, according to my therapist, I don't have ADD. I am normal, god damn it.
Okay.
Real talk. And when you were like fading out there, I was like, is he high? You really did look like you were gone. I was like, I've seen that look before. This ends in furniture being built.
Excuse me, I have to go build a chair.
There goes Ben.
1,000-yard stare. At least the cat is asleep now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to start with corporate, but David is going to pitch corporate. Do you have the doc pulled up on your phone?
Oh, no, I do not.
The notes would probably help you pitch it to Mario.
That would help a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might as well just like deep dive into everything that we've talked about with this, and then get Mario's opinions on how he thinks about the look and feel of that particular faction. So while he's looking that up, there are 3 factions in the board game that represent different sets of characters that you can play.
I got you. Okay.
So in the original steampunk version, there were 2 captains of every faction. So even though there were 2 captains of the same faction, they would still look different and have a different set of like skills and special abilities and things like that. So each crew can be unique, but we want a unifying theme within the faction because each faction has kind of its own goal. So as we dive into these factions, this is mainly for the characters and the ship that they would fly within the city to go around and accomplish tasks.
Is it no longer listed as Bible?
No, it should. It's called World Bible, Cyberpunk World Bible.
Let's try that.
Just type World Bible.
That's what I'm doing. There we go.
There it is.
When I just typed Bible, it brought up all of the Steamworks and Shadows character Bibles. So I didn't know where it was going.
That's some old stuff.
Yeah.
That's old stuff. We still need a Bible for your steampunk character.
Yes, we do.
Because after the current comic series, where I'm going to dive into the Judge comic series and play out that storyline. And Mario's going to draw it.
All right.
No choice. You're doing it. I give you money and you give me art.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, so we've got like a big conglomerate corporation that controls and manufactures like high-end technology. Their goal is to break down technology from the singularity and to use it to gain power and influence. They're pretty faceless for the most part. It's kind of like a 50-50 blend of like high society, the top 1% meets kind of a militaristic fashion. When I think of this, I think a lot of like officers for the Empire and Star Wars and stuff.
Oh,
like that,
yeah.
you know?
No, there was one specific movie you had brought up.
Was that the Equilibrium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt very corporate. They all had uniforms and felt like just, a collective of agents to this one sort of big faceless thing,
Right. And so we had the modifications that they would have would be very minimalistic. They'd have like, silver lines on their face or their limbs that would hide like deeper modifications. Prosthetics would be kind of seamless, very near human looking, hiding very devastating weapons underneath kind of thing. So tech would be the same, very, very sleek, I'm trying to think. Yeah. Oh, okay. So with that, I'll put a pin in that. Come back to it.
We can give them an example of the body modification, like Ghost in the Shell.
There you go.
Yeah.
Where they still look very human, but like the geishas in Ghost in the Shell, where like their face is split open and then it's like horrifying.
Right.
But but you can kind of see the seams, but it's almost seamless. Like super over designed.
Right. Yeah, I specifically remember, in fact, the animated version of Ghost in the Shell. The women whose fingertips would split out and start keyboarding like crazy, and then sink back up in the fingertips. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely okay. I'm seeing that
kind of stuff.
Did you want me to get into like their attire style and everything yet, or is that good enough?
No, we might as well just deep dive into it, and then we can talk about like a name for the faction. Let's stick to one faction at a time. Okay. And see if we can take it all the way to the end. Because Mario, we had like, after we get through all this, we came up with like some potential names for the faction, and we wanted to get your feedback and see like what you thought about it.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So attire wise, these would be, lots of black, like we talked about, very simple lines, conservative fashion, kind of a military style. Let's see here. Visors, helmets, other kind of like face hiding kind of attire that would give them a very clone-like feel to them, like they're all one and the same. Maybe some identifying tattoos, something that would identify that they're obviously with corporate, some kind of insignia or something somewhere.
Right. Or even like a UPC, like from the Hitman series.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we had talked about inspirations were like Agent Smith, Equilibrium, Deus Ex, Tron Legacy, etc.
Yep. Lots of black.
Lots of black.
with a little bit of glowy stuff.
That's right.
And very paramilitary, for sure.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then, vehicles. Let's see here. We said...
Did you tell them about the automatons already?
No, I skipped the automatons. Sorry.
Oh, so in the steampunk version, there were steampunk automatons, like robots. And in some cyberpunk worlds, there's like artificial intelligence, and we thought we could probably adopt that and replace the steampunk automaton with each faction kind of having their own version of what their artificial intelligence would be, what it would look like, and what it would do.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, David, if you want to tell them about the corporate automatons or AI.
Yeah, with the AI here, they're going to look near human as possible, but obviously have some kind of influence that they're a machine. They're not actually human, whether it's the casting versus their skin, or just it's just a faceplate over machinery, what have you. But so some of the inspirations were like Terminator. Replicants, the Sonny and I robot, or the new RoboCop, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just had another thought. What's that video game? Is it Detroit Near Human or Detroit Almost Human or something like that?
Doesn't ring a bell.
No, no.
Okay, so it's a game where one of the main protagonists is a cop that's an AI, and he looks darn near human, like almost wouldn't know he was a machine until he when he gets damaged or something. It's all blue and metallic and stuff instead of blood and flesh and blood. So
gotcha.
So that's another example of that kind of thing. Or you know what else I thought of, David? Total Recall.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one where he was dressed up like the lady, and then the head opens up. And stuff. That kind of stuff was cool.
You said was the other one, that Near Human, we were talking about a video game or a show? Okay, because there was a show of the same name about almost the exact same thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Funny enough, it had the guy. Oh my God! Anytime I try to think of a name, it just completely goes out of my brain. The New Dread.
Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he was the lead in the show.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff.
Okay.
For sure. As far as look and purpose, probably same level as the human agents. Being able to take complete complex tasks. Sort of like the Data for the corporate faction. Data would be another really good example where it's near human, but it's off just enough where you're that's not human.
That's synthetic.
Synthetic.
Okay.
Yeah, synthetic. That's a great word for it. Yeah, I'll add that note. Synthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at first I was thinking kind of like that movie, what is it, Ex Machina? Where the women in that one, the women droids were unnervingly realistic.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And then the last part for the factions, as this was kind of overall look for characters, but then each faction has its own style and purpose of ship that transports these agents around to accomplish tasks. So, David, why don't you go over the corporate ship and kind of what we were thinking for that?
Yeah. So again, lots of black, kind of a stealth feel to it, with accents or highlights in the player color, which I think we've decided are going to be something along the lines of red or fuchsia.
Red and fuchsia. One player is red, and then the other corporate player is fuchsia. So there should be
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. For character backgrounds and for the ship, there should be a highlight color that indicates which player in the game it belongs to. So,
got it.
So Vector would be really ideal for this purpose, just so that you can hot swap those colors and us be able to match it across cards and stuff, so that the red player always knows what's theirs and the fuchsia player always knows what's theirs.
Right.
No matter where it is on the map or on the victory point track and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's what the colors are for.
Very paramilitary. I'm thinking Batwing from the Nolan verse. It's let's see here. Predatory silhouette. We were thinking kind of like a wasp or scorpion. Several insects in here because they can look just terrifying but have purpose. Multiple appendages for cargo or landing. Let's see here. Obviously, again, we have incorporates the company logo somewhere as a main feature, whether it's lit up or if it's highlighted with a light,
or the player color even.
Yeah,
if the logo's really big on the side of the ship and it's in red, then maybe that could indicate that it's that player's ship.
That makes sense. Forward-facing cockpits, very bird of prey kind of cockpit feel. Cannon-like weapons, forward-facing. Again, kind of mandible feel for the kind of insect inspiration. Rear-loading cargo, side door for agent drop, like the Clone Wars drop ships.
And we're not this isn't a concrete set of rules, but more of just
we're just trying to hope to inspire you.
Yeah,
sure, yeah,
just kind of trying to explain what we kind of see as commonalities for the faction, so that potentially whenever you start sort of conceptualizing this, then we can be in the right ballpark when we get to the refining part of it. But like, you know, if the design doesn't work with rear loading cargo, and instead it works with like little arms that kind of hold it underneath the ship or something, like, you know, we're good either way, as long as it gets that feeling across of being very confrontational, predatory, like, you know, if you get in my way, I'm just going to blast you out of the sky, right? Kind of feeling, you know.
Okay.
What are your feelings so far on the corporate faction?
Oh man, I really dig it. I think it's which is a strange thing to say, just because of the nature of it. I like
it feels
the
kind of bad guy, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, but like the kind of bad guy that is just like truly scary. You know, like, you know, the kind that, you know, would leave you out in the middle of the desert, kind of scary. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm liking the overall design cues, all this other stuff. It's like a nice blending of a lot of different things I've seen, but hopefully, you know, I can pull this over into something that's going to be fairly unique. So yeah, cool. Really digging this one.
Okay. We tried to come up with some variations of different names for a corporate faction, and we figured, you know, the easiest way to go is just to sort of design our own company name that will lend itself to the world that we're building, and then also be the name for the faction for the players to reference if they ever need to within the game.
Right.
We're looking to get that feeling of giant corporate entity like Wayland Industries, or what's the one from Terminator? Skynet.
Yeah. Cyberdyne Industries, I think. One of those Cyberdyne Industries or something like that.
Oh, Cyberdyne.
Cyberdyne.
Yeah, that's what it was. RoboCop.
Yeah.
Right? RoboCop. Okay.
Yeah, Cyberdyne from RoboCop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of feeling of like this huge thing that feels like a tech company. And so I wrote down some suggestions. David came up with a couple of them.
Cool. Okay.
Things that I was playing around with was like Novus and Arc and Unify. I also thought about just shortening it to just Corp. It's the Corp. Okay. Yeah. And then I also thought about, like, you know, just generic polygon shapes like rhombus or hedron. Because those just kind of sound ominous, you know, because it's just nondescript.
Yeah.
David, do you want to tell them about the two that you had?
I know I had modicum was one of those, which I came up with. There's a way that we could kind of change the last bit of it instead of the UM to an OM, so modicom. So
like modification communications.
Yeah.
Oh, or modified communications, Inc.
Right.
Modicom.
And then
shit, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then I don't see in my notes what the other one was, and my brain's blank again. What was the one that I put down? Do you have those notes? Oh, the church. Thank you. That's what it was. Because
I had to help him out with that one.
Yeah, it was because we were going off the equilibrium and how there was, you know, like the deacons and the, you know, this kind of a hierarchy. Where you can build your way up, but it's still, you know, it's kind of like appeals to the masses, but they're in charge.
Modicom is already existing. In Santa Clara, California, in July 1997, it was a technical search firm.
Was?
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was acquired by Terran Systems in March 2012 and lives on in the halls of Terran. So it did exist, but doesn't anymore. Not since 2012.
Interesting.
And if you put a hyphen in it, then you're good.
There you go.
Man, it's going to be so hard to find a name that does not already exist as a tech company.
That's very true.
Because I feel like there are much bigger brain trusts than us that are sitting there going, what's a tech company name that doesn't exist?
Well, you know, as soon as we figure one out, too, by the time we actually neat production it'll be out there.
I mean, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Along these lines, are there any of them that really grab you, Mario, or do you have like other ideas that kind of add to this? Or
yeah, and listening to it, I mean, one of the things, like, whenever I tend to think of any corporate factors or anything, I always tend to think of like monolithic aspects, things like that. You know, faceless corporations kind of fascinate me. So that's the whole, you know, unified as one, the, you know, corporations are people too kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is what this seems like. It's like, almost like they wear, you know, metaphorically and physically masks, you know, that mask the humanity of them. So something along that line, I think, is where I'm thinking. Yeah, at least off the top of my head, yeah.
I like monolithic.
You would. I mean, mono is a great prefix. You know, it's singular. It's one thing.
Yep.
So that feels right. I like Modicom, but it's also a little bit. It doesn't roll off the tongue really, really easily. But I do appreciate it
For sure.
for the feeling that it gives.
Right.
Monocom sounds even weirder.
Yeah.
And probably already exists. As an aside, for me to cut this part out, I'm pretty sure Monocron was made up by Mario.
I think it was.
In the original
I think it was too.
conversation.
I just couldn't remember, and I didn't want to be like, well, Monocron.
No, it's fine.
If I could remember where the inspiration for Kron would come from, I'd throw it out there to him.
Well, I'm almost certain that you were the one that came up with the Kron, because you said something that I was like, wait, that kind of fits.
Yeah, and I can't remember where the Kron came from.
I think I made a joke about Unicron, and it was
That's
like,
right.
And we were like, "Oh, isn't that a transformer or something?"
Yeah.
Isn't that?
And then I said monochrome.
And then because
So it was something along that line.
yeah,
Wow.
Unicron is a transformer.
Yeah, Unicron is
okay.
the big planetary eating mega corporation.
Yeah, because if I remember when we were having the conversation, I was just like sitting here looking at words and like taking words and just swapping bits out.
Yeah.
I think we were all doing that at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to bring us into that.
Okay.
So I like mono. I like Unitech. That's already a thing.
Yeah.
Monocorp. That's probably already a thing. Rhombohedron. That's too long. Monoron. No. Uniron. Unicron.
Transformer.
That's a transformer. I can't use Unicron.
Super trademarked. Although, that doesn't sound bad. The cron part with mono.
Monocron.
Monocron?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Monocron.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
Can we make it a thing?
We can make it a thing.
If it's not a thing, we should make it a
It
thing.
just got made a thing.
That sounds kind of cool.
Monocron is short for monocrotophos, which is a pesticide.
Which these guys must manufacture
Right.
Obviously.
as artificial sweetener.
It's also the name of a YouTube channel. A streamer calls himself Monocron.
Yeah.
Even though it is a pesticide,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem like anybody's going to know what that is.
No.
It's got my vote.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we can go with that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mario has helped us name the first faction. Monocron will be the faceless corporation with a bunch of agents in black. And cool.
Okay.
Are you ready to jump into the next one? Okay. So
Yeah.
let's talk about what we consider the equivalent of edge runners, as they're called in the Cyberpunk RPG.
Okay.